So, Cathy, I'm so glad you're here. And I wanted to share this interview, and I've invited Cathy on. She has just finished the Embracing Health year-long program and reached out with the amazing results that she's had. And I was really touched by them. And first you had said, oh, there are these miracles and it was amazing and it changed my life. And I thought, well, there's got to be some juicy nuggets here. So what were the specific things? And you shared that you'd had like 4 different types of cancer. And I thought, let's share this because I think it's really helpful for people to see how the physical is in fact profoundly impacted by the energetic, the emotional, or the subconscious shifts, or just the energy frequency that we're in. And we don't have to always think of a physical solution when we have a physical problem, that our consciousness is affecting our cells and our physiology and our genetics in a significant way. So it's really helpful when people can share the specifics of that. So thank you so much for sharing and coming in for this interview.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
So why don't you just tell us about where things were a year ago before you started this work?
Things were really pretty bad a year ago. I had 12 years of one health issue after another, starting with the cancer diagnosis right about when I turned 50. It was almost on my 50th birthday, the first cancer diagnosis. And then, I mean, to kind of jump ahead to 2020, and again, I had had so many diagnoses, so many struggles. You know, you talk about the hamster wheel of going from doctor to doctor, expert to expert, researching, frantically looking outside myself. I was, that was me for years and years, because it seemed like my issues I would sort of resolve or treat something, and it would, the problems would move to another organ system, or another manifestation. Mm-hmm. And that kept happening. And then in 2020, my elderly parents started really needing a lot of help. And for the next, like till the end of 2021, when my mother finally died, there were I was just under so much stress, caring for them, trying to basically save my mother's life over and over. So there was a lot of ER visits and a lot of urgent care visits and specialists, because she had a lot of problems and she was 95, but she wanted very much to live. And I felt you addressed this in the program of feeling like someone else's source. And that was just like, oh, that's exactly what I was doing. And so by the end of 2021, I was so stressed out. I was numb. I was just numb. I had lost my dog. A horse I had for 30 years was in a freak accident, had to be put down, and my mother died all within 4 months. So I had a lot of grief and loss and just was depleted. So by the time I found your work in the spring of 2022, probably like March, April, I somehow came across Mind Body TV. I don't remember how. And it was like, you know, I had this numbness and this apathy, but it was like there was this black crust around me, and there was a little crack with light that came through. And I had enough life in me to respond to that light. So I started looking at Mind Body TV. Then I did the chronic fatigue and brain fog course. And then I saw, you know, Embracing Health, and I just thought, I need more. This is nourishing. This is empowering. This is nourishing. I need more. So that's where I was a year ago.
Okay, awesome. Let's look first at where you are now, the changes, how you're feeling, how is your health? And then we're going to go on to a couple other components I think people are going to want to know more about. So what have you noticed as a result of doing this work?
So much is my, the lightness, just optimism, lightness, and being empowered. I've been on a spiritual path for a very long time, and there was a lot in it about accepting and embracing what is, but you actually showed me how to do that. I mean, that's a big change because I felt very powerless. I recognized through, your programs, the victim mentality and how that was absolutely running my life. I, judged that part of me. I was not accepting, but the whole technique, to use one word that feels kind of mechanical, but of, embrace that part of me like she's a little girl that is scared and enraged. And, I love you, I love you, I love you. You are welcome here. I had to fake it till I make it, briefly, but that was actually a pretty short period before I felt that in my heart. That was absolutely true. And I feel like you modeled that just so well that I could learn it. You modeled it and you worked, coached other people. That was a big part to embrace that part of me and other parts of me, but the victim was a big one. So I just feel like I've taken back the authority for my health. And some things have happened that have made me start to get on the hamster wheel because it's like, okay, here comes the fear, it starts ramping up and I got to find out more. I got to make sure I get the best help, the best expert, the most knowledge, all of that. And I've been able to just observe it for one thing and not get into that, because that you can feel the fight or flight and feel the frequency of that being, this is not health. This is not vitality and health and expansion and empowerment. Something else is.
And what have you seen in your health throughout this journey as a result of that shift?
A couple of things. One is, in my many health issues has been a lot of gut problems, and I've been on digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid for about 15 years, and I've been able to have those recently. And
you've been able to put them in half. Oh, great.
In half. Same with my sleep aids. I may be able to wean off. I haven't quite gone, just haven't tried yet. I don't know if I could. I told you I had a diagnosis of melanoma that I felt myself, starting to do that. And then I could access my inner wisdom, which was cut off it was really cut off for various reasons, I think. And know that was not going to be a problem. And sure enough, it was removed through surgery, and, it's gone. And then I've had blood sugar issues for several years, and my A1C had crept up, and my doctor was saying, oh, you're pre-diabetic and you should go on metformin. And I, again, could access my own wisdom, and I did some testing. I found that I'm not pre-diabetic because my insulin is fine. I don't know what's going on with the blood sugar, but there's some pretty simple hacks that have stabilized it. And and that feels organic, and like it's coming, it's what my body wanted. I've gone through years and years of food sensitivity testing, and tested sensitive to hundreds of things. And going on those restricted diets always felt like, okay, this outside authority, a lab test, a document, or a person, the person interpreting it, is telling me I need to do this. So I got to make myself do this, because otherwise, I'll feel worse, I'll get worse, there's more inflammation, etc. And this felt very different. And I'm in the changes that I've made to how I eat I feel better, and they're easy. It feels fluid. It feels easy.
Oh, that's great. That we did the interview today with Emkia, And she said the same thing. She's like, I did so many things, but it was so much work. And you know,
Yes.
these meditations every day, and we've got to focus on this, and we got to da, da, da. She said it really felt hard. And this felt really fluid and really light. And I thought back on my own journey of all those things that didn't work for me. And I used to think like, oh, am I just not doing enough? Oh, do I need to just push
Right.
more? And I'm glad I like listened to create a new pathway, because different for everybody. But there are a lot of people that's just depleted. It depleted me. It was a very
Mhm.
masculine approach of forcing and pushing and more. And to me, it was a really depleting pathway where I knew if I could open my system to more receptivity, it could be so much easier.
I did not know that until you showed me, looking back, I was like, wow, I mean, it was part of the determination, perseverance, and actually in the sort of cancer treatment culture, I found sort of this, you got to be a badass. You're a warrior, you're a badass, and you got to fight. There's a lot of that, at least that I found.
Yeah, and that can be helpful in some ways, but it will ultimately be limiting, because it's not everything. There's a moment for that and a moment for something else. And if you don't learn the surrender, you're exhausting yourself, because you're
Yeah.
using your own energy for that fight, as opposed to when you enter receptivity, you let the healing energy come through you. And that's the energy that created you. That's the energy that is continually creating you. And you can let it restore you to a far higher degree when you open and move into that space of allowing, which is really what we're doing in embracing health.
Yeah.
Were there doubts or fears or hesitations when you found out about the program and considered the program?
Yes, fear of, I think it was being disappointed, maybe like getting my hopes up and being disappointed, and you addressed that in the program. There was concern about the money. I was actually more concerned, I did, like I said, chronic fatigue first, and that's a much lower investment. By the time I had taken that one, it took me a little while to commit to embracing health, but I was pretty sold. And for me, the money did come in. I, kind of had to shift it from being allocated for something else, shift directions. And I don't know that I explicitly asked the question that you ask of, what is going to bring me the highest expansion, health, prosperity, abundance. But at some level, I think I sensed that. And so, yeah, there was a little hesitation, but it was actually directed more at the first program, the chronic fatigue.
What would you say to someone who feels inspired and called to this, dealing either with something similar or just ready to become more conscious and empowered in their creation and manifestation, and has maybe some of those same hesitations?
I would say you have no idea what is available. I had no idea what was actually being offered, what was available, what I was going to receive. I didn't comprehend it. I thought it was going to be, I'm not sure what I thought, but addressing health, I don't know, but I had no idea how powerful this was. I really didn't know. And so I would say to somebody else, you probably don't have any idea how powerful this is and what you are contemplating receiving.
Is there anything else you want to share that maybe I didn't touch on before we finish?
Oh, there were so many things that you touched on in the program. Well, again, kind of continuing that, if I didn't realize what I was getting into, like transmuting for your pets. My dog received this diagnosis, and it was really pretty dire. And I, was very, sad and scary for me. But then you came on and you were working with somebody else about their dog and how you can transmute for your pet. And that just lifted and, expanded my whole outlook that that's possible. That was one thing you just said. addressed so many of the issues that came up for me, through other people who are also dealing with them. Just like one after another. It was quite quite a process, quite astonishing. And I'm so glad to be part of this community now, going forward, and with all the tools, and also just the ongoing work and support. It's just, I'm so glad. I'm in such a different place than I was a year ago. I mean, I really, really am.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so glad you're mentioning that about the community, because that's one of the things I'm most inspired about, is having that, just the like-minded people and the strength that we give each other, and that it just brings us back to a higher space just by connecting. And one of the things I thought of when you were speaking is the group. Do you have anything to say to people who think like, oh, well, I need one-on-one? Like that happens a lot. They don't realize like how powerful the group dynamic is, that you're going to receive what every single person processes and receives. So what might you say to someone about that group dynamic, or being vulnerable in a group, or the person who thinks, oh, well, yeah, I need the private one-on-one?
Oh, it's like, it was because I was working with everybody who was working. I mean, I was right there, and I felt everything, and things they were saying were very similar to what I was going through. I mean, it seemed like there's very common threads, and I don't know, there's something about all of the energy and all of the love and support that just magnifies what comes through. So I would say that's the least of your worries. Plus there's the opportunity, you might actually work one-on-one with Dr. Kim. But I would say it's not necessary, because you're going to get it.
Thank you so much. This was really helpful. I think it will resonate and help assist with clarity and strength and courage for a lot of people who are ready to choose this. So is there any way that maybe through Facebook or something, if someone wanted to reach out through the Mind Body community or something like that, if they had something?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm on Facebook.
Okay, so great. Cathy Winters in the Mind Body community. If you would like to ask any questions, the link for Embracing Health, it's open right now. We open registration once a year, is drkimd.com/health. And even just looking at the page, reading the copy, interacting with that will do something into your system, because it's calling you into a deeper space of truth. So I'm grateful to be offering that, and to invite the world and invite you, if this is resonating, to be a part of the group and join us this year. We start in June, and I love you. And I'm so glad for everyone listening here. Thank you so much, Cathy.
Thank you.